Imagine a life where fear no longer holds you back, where you face challenges with calm clarity and unshakable confidence. What if I told you that Buddhist teachings, which have guided millions toward peace and wisdom for over 2,500 years, offer powerful tools to help you overcome fear and transform your mindset? In today's video, we're going to explore 6 transformative lessons from the Buddha that can help you stop letting fear control your life. These teachings will show you how to embrace courage, break free from limitations, and find peace amid uncertainty. If you're ready to liberate yourself from the anxiety that's holding you back, let's dive into these powerful Buddhist lessons. 1. Embrace impermanence. The Buddha's first lesson is simple yet profound. Everything in life is impermanent. Our thoughts, our emotions, and yes, even our fears are all temporary. Fear often arises when we resist change. We cling to the idea that things should remain exactly as they are. And when life shifts, when we face loss, uncertainty, or change, we become afraid. Think about it. We fear losing things, our job, our health, our loved ones, and the mere thought of these losses can trigger panic and anxiety. But here's the truth. Life is in a constant state of flux. The only real constant in life is change. Buddhism teaches that attachment to things that are impermanent only creates suffering. When we hold on too tightly to the belief that things should stay the same, we unknowingly reinforce the illusion that we have control. This attachment to a fixed outcome is the root of fear and anxiety. But when we come to understand that everything is temporary, our joy, our pain, our fear, we start to shift our perspective. The happiness you feel today may not last forever, but neither will your pain, your anxiety, or your fear. Nothing is permanent and everything changes. This is the essence of the Buddha's teaching of anicca, impermanence. When you understand that everything in your life, including your fears, is temporary, you begin to let go of the need for control. You no longer need to cling to the illusion that life should stay fixed. Instead of fearing the unknown or worrying about losing something, you can embrace change as a natural part of life. In moments of hardship, whether you're facing a difficult challenge at work, struggling in a relationship, or battling your own emotions, remember, this too shall pass. The discomfort you're feeling right now is not permanent. Anicca reminds us that suffering is fleeting and constantly evolving. By accepting this, you free yourself from the fear of permanent failure or pain. When you accept that everything is impermanent, you stop overthinking the future. Instead of imagining the worst-case scenario, you learn to trust that whatever comes next will eventually change. Your mind will adapt to new circumstances as they unfold. Anicca teaches us to live in the present moment without getting lost in worry about what might happen next. You begin to understand that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace. How to practice embracing impermanence. Take time to reflect on the changing nature of everything around you. Whether it's the ebb and flow of the seasons, the growth of a tree, or the passing of a single day, recognize that nothing stays the same forever. When you recognize the natural flow of life, you begin to accept your own changing circumstances with greater ease. By embracing impermanence, you release the fear of the unknown and gain the freedom to live more fully in the present. Since impermanence teaches us that the present moment is all we truly have, we must focus on being present. Stop dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Bring your attention to what is happening right now. In doing so, you will realize that even your fears are temporary and will eventually pass. 2. See the illusion of fear. The Buddha taught that much of what we experience is simply an illusion created by our minds, and fear is no exception. Fear is often based on what-if scenarios that haven't even happened yet. By recognizing that fear is a product of our thoughts and not of reality, we can start to detach ourselves from the stories our minds tell us. In that awareness, fear loses its power. Imagine this for a moment. You're standing at the edge of a cliff, gazing down. Your heart races. Your palms sweat. But what is actually happening? Are you falling? Are you in danger? Not at all. What's happening is that your mind is anticipating something that isn't real. Our minds are incredibly creative when it comes to fear. We conjure up the worst-case scenarios, imagining every possible disaster. But here's the truth. Fear is just a thought. It's not a fact. It's a mental pattern, one that you have the power to break. Fear is like a shadow. It disappears when you shine the light of awareness on it. Every time you step into something new, you will feel fear. But that fear is not a reflection of reality. It's simply a signal that you are stepping out of your comfort zone. Fear is not trying to stop you. It's trying to teach you that you are on the verge of something greater. Do not let the illusion of fear hold you back from stepping into your power. You are not the fear you feel. You are the awareness behind it. You are the strength that faces it. When you see fear for what it truly is, an illusion that is fleeting and temporary, you take away its power over you. The next time fear comes knocking at your door, remember this: it's not real. It's just an illusion. You have the power to let it go. You have the strength to overcome it, and you have the courage to live the life you truly deserve. 3. Cultivate mindfulness. The practice of mindfulness, sati, is one of the most powerful tools in overcoming fear. Mindfulness is simply the act of being fully present in the moment. Fear thrives in the past and future. We ruminate over past mistakes or imagine what might go wrong in the future, creating stories that fuel our anxiety. But when we bring ourselves back to the present moment through mindful breathing, awareness of our bodies, or simply focusing on our surroundings, we create space between ourselves and our fears. We begin to realize that fear is just a passing thought, not an undeniable truth. Mindfulness cultivates mental stability, allowing us to stay calm even in the face of fear. When you are fully present, you stop reacting impulsively to every fearful thought that crosses your mind. Instead of being overwhelmed by worry, you can see the fear for what it is, just another thought, and one that will pass if you don't give it your energy. Every time you find yourself gripped by fear, take a deep breath. Ground yourself in the present moment and notice the fear without judgment. Let it pass through you. With practice, you'll begin to see that fear doesn't need to control you. It's simply a momentary blip on the radar of life. When you are mindful, you hold the power to direct your thoughts. You don't have to be enslaved by fear. By staying present, you build resilience and mental clarity, allowing you to navigate through life's challenges with a calm mind and a strong heart. Instead of being swept away by fear-based thoughts, mindfulness empowers you to pause and choose how to respond when fear arises. Fearful thoughts like, "What if I fail?" or "What if something bad happens?" often crowd our minds, but by practicing mindfulness, we can observe these thoughts with detachment. Sit quietly and notice the thoughts that come into your mind. Rather than reacting to them, simply acknowledge them. You could even label them if it helps. Ah, here is fear again. This simple act of observation allows you to stop identifying with the fear and create space to consciously choose how to respond. Fear doesn't just affect our thoughts, it also shows up in our bodies. You may notice your heart racing, a tightness in your chest, shallow breathing, or sweaty palms when anxiety sets in. Through mindfulness, you can bring awareness to these physical sensations. Instead of trying to escape them or force them away, you learn to observe them with curiosity. By acknowledging the physical presence of fear without judgment or resistance, you start to desensitize yourself to it. The Buddha taught that the mind is everything. What you think, you become. When you observe your fear and your body's responses without reacting to them, you start to transform your relationship with fear itself. Fear no longer controls you. You instead begin to control your reaction to it. 4. Understand the nature of suffering. In Buddhist teachings, the nature of suffering, dukkha, is a central concept that not only explains the difficulties we face in life, but also offers the path toward liberation from those struggles. Fear, as an emotional response, is one of the many forms of suffering that arise from our relationship with the world. By understanding dukkha and its deeper causes, we can transform our experience of fear and move toward inner freedom. The Buddha taught that suffering is a natural part of life and that it is universal. Fear, anxiety, and worry are simply forms of suffering that arise when we encounter uncertainty, loss, or perceived danger. These experiences are not unique to you. They are part of the human condition. The fact that suffering is universal means that everyone at some point experiences fear. Whether it's fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of rejection, or existential fears like the fear of death. Fear is part of the shared human experience. When we understand that suffering is universal, it can help diminish the grip fear has on us. It becomes less isolating and less intimidating. Rather than feeling like your fears are unique to you, you can relate to others who face similar fears. This connection helps reduce the intensity and personal nature of fear. When you see fear as part of the natural flow of life, something everyone experiences, it loses its power over you. Fear is no longer a personal failing. It's simply part of the human experience. Let go of attachment. In Buddhism, one of the most powerful teachings for overcoming fear is the concept of letting go of attachment, tanha. Tanha refers to the craving, clinging, or attachment to things, experiences, people, or even our own identity. It is this attachment that often fuels our fears, anxieties, and insecurities. Understanding how to release attachment is key to overcoming fear and finding lasting peace. But what is attachment? Tanha is often translated as craving or thirst, a strong desire to possess or control something, whether it be material things, emotional experiences, or even our own identities. Attachment causes us to desperately hold on to what we think we need, and in doing so, we create fear around losing those things. When we're attached to specific outcomes or people, we become afraid of what might happen if we lose them. We feel a sense of vulnerability, and the fear of losing what we cling to can paralyze us. However, the Buddha teaches that attachment only leads to suffering. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean we stop caring or striving for things. It means we free ourselves from the fear of losing them. By releasing attachment, we open ourselves to the present moment and allow life to flow naturally. This shift from clinging to surrendering creates the space for peace and courage to emerge. 6. Practice compassion and loving kindness. The final lesson we'll explore is the practice of compassion and loving kindness, metta. Fear often isolates us, causing us to become defensive, anxious, or reactive. But through compassion, we can soften our hearts and open ourselves to connection and understanding. Compassion isn't just for others, it's for yourself too. When you feel fear, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. Remind yourself that fear is a natural part of being human and that you are not alone in facing it. By cultivating loving kindness, you extend warmth and goodwill not only toward others, but also toward yourself. This shift in perspective helps you dissolve fear and opens the door to living with greater peace and courage. These teachings offer timeless wisdom for overcoming fear. When you embrace the impermanence of life, recognize fear as an illusion, practice mindfulness, understand suffering, let go of attachment, and practice compassion, you begin to break free from the constraints that fear imposes. You reclaim your power and embrace life with courage. Are you ready to step into your own power and face fear with a calm mind and an open heart? Let these lessons guide you toward the life you deserve. Attachment arises from the belief that something external to us will bring lasting happiness or security. We become fixated on these things, thinking that without them, we cannot be whole or safe. Fear often arises when we perceive that we are losing or could lose what we are attached to. Whether it's the fear of losing a relationship, a job, social status, or even our own sense of identity, attachment creates vulnerability and insecurity. Letting go of attachment doesn't mean we stop caring about things or give up our desires, but rather we stop clinging to them as if they define our happiness or safety. It means releasing the dependence on external conditions to provide lasting security. When we release attachment, we free ourselves from the grip of fear. Without the weight of attachment, we are less likely to be shaken by the inevitable changes, losses, or unpredictable nature of life. To practice letting go of attachment, you can cultivate non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean indifference or detachment from life. It means approaching life with equanimity and openness. It involves enjoying the things around you without clinging to them or expecting them to provide lasting satisfaction. When you feel fear around a particular outcome, like an important project or exam, practice non-attachment by focusing on doing your best rather than being attached to the specific result. You can take action without being consumed by the outcome. Additionally, you can practice letting go of the need for control. Fear often arises when we try to control every aspect of our lives. We fear the unknown because we can't predict what will happen. But life is inherently unpredictable. Trying to control everything only increases anxiety. By letting go of the need for control, you allow life to unfold as it will. This doesn't mean being passive or careless, but rather accepting that we cannot control all outcomes and that uncertainty is a natural part of life. 6. Cultivate patience. Patience, kshanti in Buddhism, is a powerful virtue that plays a central role in overcoming fear. Fear often arises from impatience, our desire for immediate answers, quick fixes, or control over uncertain situations. When we cultivate patience, we create space for our fears to subside, and we develop the inner strength to face life's challenges with equanimity. Fear often emerges from a sense of urgency. We are afraid because we don't know what will happen next, or we're anxious about the future. This anxiety is rooted in impatience, a desire for quick results or certainty in a world that is inherently uncertain. Fear of uncertainty often arises when we don't know what the future holds, which makes us panic. We want to control outcomes, but life is unpredictable, and that uncertainty causes discomfort. The Buddha taught that impatience feeds suffering, while patience offers a way out of fear and anxiety. To overcome fear, we must learn to be patient with the present moment, accepting that things unfold in their own time. Patience helps us accept what is beyond our control. When we cultivate patience, we learn to accept uncertainty and trust that things will unfold as they are meant to, even if we can't predict or control them. This trust reduces the fear that comes from trying to manage the uncontrollable. Patience also helps us tolerate discomfort. Fear, like any other emotion, often arises when we encounter discomfort, whether it's emotional, mental, or physical. We may fear the discomfort itself or the idea that we won't be able to handle it. Patience helps us bear discomfort without reacting impulsively or trying to escape it. Instead of running away from the sensation of fear, patience allows us to stay present with it. Over time, we learn that fear, like all emotions, is temporary. When we allow fear to be present without resistance, it gradually loses its intensity. Patience with ourselves is another essential aspect of overcoming fear. Fear often comes from self-judgment, worrying that we're not good enough, that we will fail, or that we will disappoint ourselves or others. When we cultivate patience, we allow ourselves the time and space to grow. We stop expecting perfection and recognize that mistakes and setbacks are part of the human experience. Being patient with ourselves reduces the fear of failure. It allows us to approach life's challenges with a more compassionate and understanding mindset, knowing that growth takes time and that it's okay to stumble along the way. By embracing these 6 teachings from the Buddha, embracing impermanence, seeing the illusion of fear, cultivating mindfulness, understanding the nature of suffering, letting go of attachment, and practicing patience, you can transform your relationship with fear. Instead of feeling overwhelmed or paralyzed by fear, you will begin to see it as an opportunity for growth, awareness, and deeper peace. Remember, fear is not something to fight against or repress. It is simply a part of life, something we can learn to understand, navigate, and ultimately transcend through mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. If you found these lessons helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, you have the power to stop your fears and live a life filled with courage, peace, and freedom. Thank you for watching. Write Buddhist Radiance in the comment section if you watch our full video.